Shavua Tov, this last week I would like to discuss some insights into the Haggadah to enhance our experience of Pesach and of the Seder. And today we'll discuss Mah Nishtana. So, Magid, the section of the Haggadah, which is discussing the Exodus from Egypt, begins with Halachma Anya. But really, that's just an introduction. The main part of the Haggadah begins with the questions of Mah Nishtana, which we call the four questions. In essence, it's one question. Why is this night different from all other nights? And there are four reasons why this question of why the difference is being asked. Now, the Gemara tells us something interesting. Say a person is alone. A person doesn't have anyone to ask the questions to. So you would think that the purpose of asking Mah Nishtana the questions is to receive an answer, which is the rest of the Haggadah. Avadim Hayinu is the answer to the question, why is this night different? Nonetheless, Gemara tells us that even a person is alone, sho'el le'atzmo, he asks himself. So imagine that a person is sitting Seder all alone, and there he's going through Ma'aseh, and he asks the questions to himself, and he answers the question. And this needs an explanation. Why would we want to ask questions to ourselves? It makes sense if we have other people around us. We are engaging in dialogue, and like this, we are bringing out the story more. But if a person is alone, what's the point of asking questions? So we find the concept of questions a lot with Mitzrayim. In fact, in the Torah, it's written 3 times, V'haya kish alecha bincha, when your son will ask you about Egypt. Pesach is our festival of freedom. And we're used to thinking of freedom from the slavery and the tyranny of the Egyptians, the back-breaking work, b'homeru bilbenim, with the cement, with the bricks, and all the hard work in the field. That's all true. And that we recall on Pesach by living like kings, by reclining, by enjoying the 4 cups of wine, and so on and so forth. But there is another freedom which we experience on Pesach, which is less talked about, which is as important, if not more important. In a dictatorship, in a totalitarian state, a person doesn't have the ability to express themselves and to ask questions, what we call, in a democracy, free speech. In fact, when Moshe came to Paro, right at the beginning, and asked Paro for a 3-day holiday for Israel, Paro responded with the famous words, Tichbad alehem ha'avodah v'ya'asu bah, ve'al yish'u b'divrei shaker. If they have the time, if Bnei Israel have the time to be able to think about a 3-day holiday, that means they're not working hard enough. Tichbad alehem ha'avodah, now I'm going to make the work even harder. Paro didn't just subject us to backbreaking work, he also wanted to enslave us mentally and intellectually, that we did not have the time to think and to be able to express ourselves, and most importantly, to ask questions. When we came out of Egypt, we were now free. We were free in terms physically, but also in terms of intellectually, mentally. We're now able to ask questions, we're now able to express ourselves, we're now able to think for ourselves. And that is also an essential part of Pesach. Pesach isn't just experiencing physical freedom, it's also experiencing mental freedom. It's the ability to ask questions, which is why, even if a person is alone, they still have to ask questions. Because, according to what we've explained, asking the question isn't just a means to an end to receive the answer. It's a means in itself. You ask the question to demonstrate, just like we recline to demonstrate our physical freedom, and we drink the cups of wine to demonstrate our physical freedom, we ask questions as well to demonstrate our intellectual freedom, that we're no longer subjected to the regime of Paro. This is what the Arizal writes, Pesach, he says, Pesach, the mouth speaks. Sach means to speak in Hebrew. Pesach is also about our mouth being able to speak and to ask. And more than a question needs an answer needs a question. We need to be able to learn how to ask questions, which is why we always have encouraged questions. We always believe strongly that a good question, as long as it's appropriately asked, and is a genuine question, unlike the Rasha's question, which is a cynical one, then these questions are actually ways in which we come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is why we do so many things throughout the night to arouse the curiosity of the children, of those around us, so that we are demonstrating our mental freedom. So on this night, let us ask questions, let us express our freedom mentally to be able to think and to be able to speak for ourselves, together with enjoying our physical freedom. Have a wonderful day.